Let's make a riff on the Margarita. The 50-50 Margarita was created by Natasha Bermudez in New York City, and it incorporates mezcal and manzanilla sherry. Interesting combination. The mezcal brings that smoke, that grassiness, and today I'm actually using something a little bit special. This one was sent to me by Jacob S. So thank you, Jacob, for buying the back bar and supporting the channel. It is a celebratory release by Vargo Distillery. It's a triple distilled mezcal, and before that final distillation takes place, they add in some charred corn. So add some sweetness that complements the smokiness of that mezcal, and it works really well. So thank you, Jacob. Next, we have the manzanilla sherry. This is aged on the coast of Spain, so it has some minerality to it and some saltiness. It's a relatively light and dry sherry, and it works really well in a margarita. It lowers the ABV of the cocktail, but in saying that, I'm using a mezcal that's 49.9%. If you don't have this mezcal, sub it for another mezcal or a tequila. It's gonna be different, but it's still gonna make a great drink. Then the original recipe did call for Cointreau, a triple sec, an orange liqueur. I'm using Luxardo triple sec because that's what I've got on the shelf. And the next ingredient I'm going to add is the agave syrup, which is 72 bricks, meaning it's got 72 grams of sugar per 100 grams. And last of all, it's margarita, fresh lime juice. All right, let's get straight onto the drink and test out Natasha Bermudez, her cocktail. 1 ounce, 30 ml of mezcal. As I said, this particular one, smoky, but it's got that sweetness from the corn and that charred note from it coming through. Manzanilla sherry, 1 ounce, 30 ml. We're gonna sweeten it up with ½ ounce, 15 ml of triple sec. And the agave syrup. Recipe only calls for 1/4 ounce, 7.5 ml. And 3/4 ounce, 22.5 ml of fresh lime juice. Pack it full ice, shake it for 10 to 12 seconds. Then I'm going to strain this one into a worm salt lined glass. If you don't have worm salt, you can make a chili salt, which is simply tahine, paprika, and salt in equal measures. And this one's served over ice. So fill up the glass and strain over the top. There you have the 50-50 margarita. Cheers, Natasha. Thank you, Jacob. First impression, I want to say earthy. It's very unique. I wouldn't say you get the sweetness from the corn, but you get the flavor of the corn and you get those mineral notes from the sherry. I think the sherry and the mezcal play really nicely together. A super unique version of the mezcal. It's not as citrusy, it's not as like acidic and punchy, but that's not a bad thing. There's a lot of flavors going on here that work, that complement each other. I dig this. And drinking it through the worm salt. So the difference between the worm salt and that recipe for the chili salt that I mentioned, worm salt, earthy and salty, maybe meaty, and that particular recipe that I just shared for the smoked chili salt, which is tahine, or tahine, however you pronounce it, paprika and salt in equal measures. I think that's going to be a little bit more acidic because of the tahine. I get so much shit for mispronouncing that word, but anyways, so I think I'd prefer the worm salt just from the tasting it by itself. I wasn't a huge fan of the tahine. Through the worm salt. Just adds another dimension. A little bit of spice. It's a little bit chilly, but not too much. If you enjoyed today's video, I've shared a link in the description below where you can download a PDF with my 20 tips to improve your margarita game. See you next Wednesday. Cheers.